To finish well does not mean that we never struggle or we never stumble or we never suffer. For the scriptures teach us that in this life we will have trials and tribulations. That is the stumbling and the struggling that happens in life. And it means that we will persevere through these challenges. Good day and welcome to Fireside with the Chaplain. I am pretty fired up today because it happens to be a day that the shirt that I am wearing represents the 545 BEB from Oklahoma. That's a shout out. And it matches the word of the day today, which is running. And this was the last half marathon that I participated in when I was stationed out in Oklahoma. And I thought it was cool to now think about what it is to run a race, right? And I didn't come in first. I didn't do anything fantastic, but I finished. And the word of the day today is finish, not running. It's finish. So here's the thought that I want you to consider. You know, there are moments in life when starting feels brave, but finishing feels holy. There's something about completion. There's something about getting to the end of a particular season or phase in life or competition or whatever that might be. But to finish, beginnings are they're often fueled by excitement and clarity. Endings require something deeper. And to finish well demands perseverance, humility, and trust that God is present even when the road feels long and the finish line seems distant. I don't know how many of you that are watching this today have run a half marathon or run even a marathon before. I do know that usually halfway through is when the mind starts playing the trick that, why don't I just stop? What am I really doing this for? I know at least that was my case. And it wasn't until I got to that 10th and that 11th mile that I could see the finish line, both introspectively and in reality, and finishing became far more important. And there was something I had to reach down inside to get a hold of in order to finish. And here in Hebrews 12, the first 3 verses, the writer is inviting us to an image of a race. Not a quick dash, not a sprint, but a steady, demanding journey of faith. And we are reminded that we do not run alone. We are surrounded by witnesses whose lives testify that endurance matters. Their stories whisper hope in our weakness. Keep going. You can do it. At the center of this race stands Jesus, our brother. And Jesus is not only our example, but Jesus is our focus. The writer urges us to fix our eyes on Jesus. There's a song written about it. The one who endured the cross, disregarded shame, and pressed through the suffering for the joy set before him. Jesus did not quit. When obedience became costly, Jesus finished. And in doing so, he shows us that finishing is not about comfort or applause, but about faithfulness. To finish well does not mean that we never struggle or we never stumble or we never suffer. For the scriptures teach us that in this life we will have trials and tribulations. That is the stumbling and the struggling that happens in life. And it means that we will persevere through these challenges. It means we refuse to stop trusting God when the journey stretches us beyond our limits. To finish means laying aside weights and distractions, frets and fears and regrets that drain our strength. It means choosing to finish, because it is a choice. When discouragement offers us an easier way out, an easier exit strategy, oftentimes premature. When we grow tired or lose heart, Scripture gently redirects our gaze. Look to Jesus. In Him, we find renewed courage. In Jesus, we remember why we started in the first place. In Jesus, we discover that the strength to finish does not come from ourselves alone, but from the one who runs with us. Oh, praise be to God. Faithfulness is not proven by how we start, but how we finish, if we finish at all. Finish means to bring something to its intended completion with perseverance, faith, and integrity, even when the journey is costly or complicated. Finishing well is an act of trust. It is choosing perseverance over resignation and hope over exhaustion. When we keep our eyes on Jesus, endurance becomes possible, and the finish line becomes a place of grace rather than fear. That's good. That's good news. Okay, I got 3 questions for you in reflection. This is going to be tough. But in reflection, think about these 3 things. The first is, what distractions or burdens do you have that might be slowing your spiritual pace right now? What obstacles are there? The next thing I want you to think about here is, what are you feeling that makes you weary or that tempts you to give up before the work that has been set before you is complete? And then finally, how does focusing on Jesus reshape your understanding of endurance and purpose? Again, if you forget everything that I've said, here's something to consider and remember. Finishing well is not about proving strength. It's about trusting Jesus enough to keep going, one faithful step at a time. The word of the day is finish. Now, if this word is blessing you today or in previous days, please share it. Share it as many times as you can. I am convinced that one word can change a person's life. And you don't know whose life you could change if you share this with them. We're getting the word out. And if you haven't become a financial supporter to allow us to continue to produce and do the things that we do in person and through social media and online, please consider that. This is the giving kind of year, the giving time of year. And we invite you to click on the link below and become a one-time giver or a ongoing giver. But we thank you for those who are supporting us, and we look forward to those of you who will support us in the future. And until we meet again next time, may God be with you, and might you be well.